States. Thank you all for joining today's call, the EXIM teleconference on renewable energy. I'm excited that this is the first in our series called Strengthening American Competitiveness. This initiative is designed to have us conduct stakeholder outreach around our new program on China and transformational exports. Today's call will be recorded and will be available afterwards as well. We have a tremendous agenda for you today to discuss the renewable space and how EXIM can be effective in helping our US companies compete internationally in the renewable energy field. Chairman Reed will kick off the call with some introductory remarks. We'll have David Trulio, our Senior Vice President for the Program on China and Transformational Exports, and also Counselor to the Chairman, provide introductory remarks around the program and its launch. We have Director Judith Pryor with us today from the EXIM Board of Directors, who has been tremendous in helping us lead the renewables portfolio. And then Craig O'Connor from EXIM will provide some commentary around the recent discussions we've had with a number of companies in this space. We'll hear some remarks from company representatives, and then we'll close with remarks from Chairman Reed again at the end of the discussion. Thank you all for being here, and as always, if there's any follow-up you'd like to hear, you can email us at external@exim.gov. Chairman Reed, I'd welcome you to the microphone to make introductory comments.
Well, thank you very much, Luke. I'm very excited to welcome the great number of people listening in as we launch the Strengthening American Competitiveness Outreach Initiative. This series of teleconferences with American businesses and other stakeholders will help EXIM support businesses as you compete with China around the world. It's part of one of the most vitally important projects ever for the Export-Import Bank of the United States, our program on China and transformational exports, which the United States Congress and President Trump directed EXIM to embrace as a major part of our mission. This program isn't just about America competing in a fast-changing global economy. It's a crucial tool to advance U.S. leadership around the world. Under EXIM's new 7-year authorization, the longest in EXIM's 86-year history, our goal is that at least 20% of our agency's total financing authority, $27 billion, be devoted to exports that compete directly with China. We've got more than 320 of you on the call right now, from businesses, think tanks, the defense industry, and the media. And this great interest reflects the importance of this new effort. And again, this call is on the record. Our Strengthening America Competitiveness program is focused on an array of industry sectors that include wireless communication, biotechnology, semiconductors, and artificial intelligence. And this call today is just the first of 8 industry-specific sessions. Today's discussion will be on renewable energy, including energy efficiency and energy storage. Despite continuing to depend on coal domestically, mainland China is the world's largest producer of wind and solar power and the largest investor in renewable energy, both within its borders and outside. In this roundtable discussion, I'm delighted we'll be hearing from Richard Romero of First Star Solar, Philippe Delville of Siemens Gamesa Renewable Energy, Hugh McDermott of Energy Storage Systems, Steve Wilburn of Verde Watts, Slav Gatchev of Delphos International, and Sam Bordanov of Tesla. You are the leaders in energy innovation, so we want to know what you are thinking and get your valuable opinions on the serious challenge China poses. And as we go into this discussion, I'll be looking for you to answer some of the following discussion points. Can you describe the specific competition you face from China? Are there barriers that prevent your company from using EXIM's financing? What can EXIM do better to support your business? And do you have recommendations about EXIM's products, both current and potential? EXIM staff are on the line, eager to hear your views and act on them. That's what we're here to do today, to listen to you. This includes Dave Trulio, just announced as my senior counselor and strategic advisor who comes from the Department of Defense and who will be leading this new program. Dave knows the connection between economic security and national security. His expertise and leadership on Chinese threats and influence extend from senior roles within the Pentagon to the international activities of both Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. With that, let me open the discussion, and again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chairman Reed. This is Dave Trulio. Really appreciate the introduction, but also crucially the participation of everyone we have on the line here. To add briefly some further context to our discussion, I wanted to share and elaborate on the fact that I'm responsible to work with stakeholders and the XM team to expeditiously establish and lead this congressionally directed program called the Program on China and Transformational Exports. Simply put, the program's purpose is to support the extension of loans, guarantees, and insurance at rates and on terms and other conditions that are fully competitive with rates, terms, and other conditions established by the People's Republic of China. And as explicitly stated in the bipartisan legislation, this new program will help neutralize export subsidies for competing goods and services financed by official credit, export credit, tied aid, or blended financing provided by the PRC. Now, of note, Congress intended the program to advance the comparative leadership of the United States with respect to the PRC, and the program is going to support U.S. innovation, employment, and technological standards through direct exports to countries around the world. We're thrilled that renewable energy, energy efficiency, and energy storage are not only named in the legislation, but that this is the first of our engagements of this kind. Now, for us to be successful, in addition to communicating well in forums such as this one and others, it's going to be very important for us to achieve tangible results in the form of specific deals that help specific American companies win business and support U.S. jobs. So we can never lose sight of the fact that that's how we ultimately be successful. And to that end, it's really valuable that we have a cross-section of participants today that include players in power generation, energy efficiency, and energy storage. Crucially, and in conclusion to my opening here, we have Steve Renna, who is XM's Chief Banking Officer, on the line. And in a few moments, you're going to hear from Craig O'Connor, our Renewable Energy and Environmental Exports Officer. And then with that, I have the privilege of handing the mic, the virtual mic, over to Director Pryor from XM's Board of Directors.
Thank you so much, Dave. Welcome, everybody, and thank you, Chairman Reed, for convening this meeting, especially as we're all teleworking and life is disrupted. It's incredibly important for XM to continue to move the ball forward in support of American businesses. So this call is certainly timely, and I'm so pleased to be able to participate today. I've met or know most of you either in the office, and we've had visits over the phone recently too, and I'm excited about what you're working on. I know Steve Wilburn is on this call from Verde Watts. He's doing great things all over the world during this interesting period of our lives. And Philip Delaville from Siemens Gamesa was in with his team a few weeks back when we could still all convene in the same room. And thank you, Hugh McDermott from Energy Storage Systems, for joining. I'm really looking forward to your thoughts today. Those that are listening, I've probably met a handful or more of you when I spoke to Commerce Department's Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Advisory Committee a while back. So many thanks to my friend Slav Gachev, who I've known since my days at OPIC of Delphos, and for others who invited me to address this group. I appreciate you. Last, many of you were on my schedule. Craig O'Connor and I were going to do a little mini road trip to Portland and the Bay Area for a visit in mid-March. And all I can say is I'm very much looking forward to rescheduling as soon as it makes sense. But in the meantime, I look forward to continuing those conversations on the phone. So doing business these days, it's just certainly not routine. Climate change continues to be a threat, so XM has an opportunity to lean in and help American exporters take advantage of these lucrative growth markets in the clean energy sector and to make a difference in the healing of our people and in the health of our planet. It's also part of XM's mission and its mandate. Some of you know that I previously worked at OPIC, now the DFC, the Development Finance Corporation. And during my tenure there, we committed about $1 billion annually to renewable energy and energy resource projects for over 5 years in a row. I'm hopeful we can take similar strides here at XM, and I look forward to today's discussion with all of you on how we can best move that needle. Industry data has informed us that renewable energy technologies will have the fastest growth in the electricity sector globally, providing almost 30% of global power demand by 2023. This is an opportunity, I am quite sure, on which none of you will want to miss out. XM has a long track record of being involved in supporting these exports and building on these previous successes. The board recently approved a final commitment for a rural electrification project in Senegal, which includes solar microgrids, for example. So I hope to continue that good work. We know that foreign buyers prefer what American companies have to offer when it comes to renewable energy, whether it's capital or technology or business know-how. We also know that there may be some barriers to winning those contracts that Dave described a little bit earlier, and that we hope to hear more about from you as we move forward today. But that's why XM is here, and that's why we're all gathered, because today's conversation to me is an important step in working together to provide the tools needed for US manufactured renewable energy, energy storage, and energy efficiency products to compete and win globally. So thank you again for your participation. We truly do value your input. So thanks again. And with that, I will turn the mic over to my colleague in our renewable sector, Mr. Craig O'Connor.
Thank you very much, Director Pryor, and thank you very much, Chairman Reed, and all of you for joining us today. I can tell you that I've been at the bank. I've been proudly working at the bank since January of 1993. I became the bank's first and only environmental liaison officer, renewable energy officer in late 1994. And Exim Bank has had provisions in its charter since 92 that it should increase its support for renewable energy. And I quickly learned in that job that you don't do it alone. You really need partners. And so we're privileged to have the partners that we have today with not only US leaders, but world leaders. So again, as Dave Trulio mentioned, China is very aggressive, and they've made the priority to increase their support for renewable energy. It's clear if you look at the statistics that solar and wind in particular, storage is coming along fast, have been the leading source of new electricity generation put on the global grid, and as well as the United States. And of course, that hasn't gone unnoticed by our competitors. So Exim Bank, for really since 1934, has played a key role of providing financing, particularly in times of stress. And to quote an old baseball manager, it seems like deja vu all over again. So here we are, and we have fantastic programs, there's no question. I mean, long-term financing up to 18 years. Our recent SEER rate is 1.86. We can finance local costs up to 30%. The U.S. export contract amount, capitalize the interest during construction. We work very proactively with you because, again, we don't succeed unless you guys succeed. And we're proud of our past success with you. I mean, in fact, since 2001, we've authorized close to $6 billion in financing for environmental exports of renewable energy that supported close to $9 billion in U.S. exports. First Solar, I mean, you guys are my customers, but really I consider you all friends at this point. We've known each other for so long. We financed over $350 million with First Solar. Exim Bank was the first financial institution to finance a solar project during India's national solar mission. Not only did we finance the first one, we built a franchise and financed the first 9. With Siemens Gamesa, both as Gamesa and also Siemens before the merger, we financed over $400 million in wind projects. First wind project in Honduras, the first wind project in Peru, first one in Uruguay. So we're definitely looking to lean forward. We've financed very interesting projects as well, unique projects, $50 million methane gas capture project with Verde Watts and Firm Green, Steve Wilburn's firm, Nova Cramacho in Brazil. That was so famous they even made a documentary about it, about closing the landfill because of this project. We look to do the same with Tesla and ESS. Fortunate to have Delphos on our team. It's over $1 billion in advising projects. Now we know that Exim Bank is critical in the current environment, particularly when it comes to not only financing the U.S. portion, but local costs and the balance of project. I mean, this morning, kind of as an illustration of our partnership, I was privileged to be joined with First Solar on a webinar that they conducted for their customers throughout Latin America. And we had 75 project developers on the line. And one of the polls that we took during the webinar was that, what are the major impacts that COVID is having on your business? And 40% said that there are fewer banks lending. Another 40% said that reduced lending at banks that are lending, and those that are lending have more stringent credit criteria. So we recognize the challenge that you have, and you know that we will work proactively with you. I just learned, and this supports jobs. I mean, clearly, just today I learned that we have the first new floating glass plant built in the United States since 1980, since I was in college. In Troy Township in Ohio, and that plant is going to supply First Solar's plant and First Solar, by the way, has just tripled their plant capacity. So we have strong companies to export, and we look forward to helping you meet those challenges as we go forward. So thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Thank you very much, team, for your introductory comments. We are just so pleased to have a number of great partners on the phone with us today. I'd like to maybe open it up and start with Slav. Would you maybe jump in here and provide some comments for us, Slav?
Yeah, I'm happy to, and I feel slightly overwhelmed that you would pick me first, but perhaps I've done something to offend you all to put me on the spot like that. But I'll do my best. The challenges that you posed to us as a group were about barriers to finance. What can Exim do better, and what Exim products could benefit the industry, our industry. And so I will very quickly address, and also specific competition. I will very quickly address 3 of these points, and I'll be very brief. In terms of barriers to Exim financing, I would say that a key one is the way Exim Bank looks at content. And by that I mean that you look at, for your financial support, you're looking at the lower of the US content in a specific contract, or 85% plus 30% for local costs. In the renewable energy industry, sometimes you can have meaningful US content well over 50%, but less than 85%. And therefore, Exim Bank would then be limiting itself to maybe 60 or 70% leverage, which is just not enough, which forces project sponsors, buyers to find alternative sources of funding, co-financing, etc. So it would be fantastic if Exim Bank could provide 85% financing so long as a project, so long as an export contract is American, quantified as 51% or more. So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2, in terms of what Exim could do better, for smaller renewable energy projects, and small you can define internally and figure out who qualifies. Perhaps Exim can look at doing things more speedily, and perhaps with relaxed credit and underwriting guidelines. I'm thinking, Director Judith Pryor, I'm thinking of DFC small business division, and how at least they attempt to process smaller transactions more quickly and with less bureaucracy. And finally, in terms of Exim products, I would want to emphasize the fact that Exim's direct loans, especially in uncertain financial markets, capital markets, are very important to encourage you to continue with your direct loan program, to avoid the bureaucracy of having to find a bank to actually fund an Exim guarantee, and also to figure out more efficient ways to collaborate with other allies and like-minded ECAs like JBIC. Thank you very much, and sorry I took so long.
Oh, I appreciate that, Slav. very good to hear your voice, and thank you for volunteering to go first. Richard from First Solar, would you mind going next? Richard, your mic may be on mute. We're not hearing you live. Okay, I'm gonna jump over you, Richard, for now, and we'll see if we can get your mic fixed here. And Philippe, maybe from Siemens Gamesa, would you jump in next then? Philippe might be having the same problem. Okay, let's try Hugh McDermott.
Can you hear me?
Hugh, I can hear you great. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Thanks for pulling this session together. We're very honored to be able to share comments and our experiences in the international markets. We take to heart the competition from some of the other countries, China not being the least of which, but note that we see similar types of competition from Japanese and Korean type sponsorship of projects. ESS, as the name implies, is an energy storage company where our IP is 100% owned by us, developed in the US. We're proud to also give attribution to the US Department of Energy ARPA-E program as a co-developer of the technology. We're one of the few homegrown energy storage technologies that went from thesis to commercialization and make it through the funnel, if you will, with DOE support, without which we would not be here today. So in that sense, we are a product of US government's support to get to this stage, and happily so. One of the aspects of our business, a major part of our business, is international markets. Our products are particularly well suited for rural electrification, microgrids, small, medium-sized businesses. That's the product that we make available today. Very often these projects struggle on two accounts, either capital availability or credit worthiness. We're working on some solutions on our own, how to overcome the latter. On capital availability, the financing is obviously a very big part of the package here that we can bring with XM support. Where we've seen challenges, and it somewhat echoes the comments that Slav has already provided, have been in the areas of the content. Our energy storage technology is very often less than a third of the total content of a project. Very rarely is it more than 50% of the content of a project. And so bringing the ability to finance a project overall that might have solar from another provider, it would be a significant leg up for us in the business. Otherwise, we are losing opportunities. I think the point also made around direct loans is something that we have not made a appeal for yet directly, but we have experienced where it's been a bit of a challenge to find banks who want to participate in some of the projects. First-hand experience has been several of the banks that we've reached out to who are participants in the XM loan guarantee program have demurred or have chosen not to participate for their own reasons, and we don't fault them for any of them. We've still been able to move forward on those projects, but I think the direct loan program, coupled with a small business dimension to that, would be areas that we would humbly submit as opportunities for increasing business for U.S. exporters in these markets. I'll leave my comments there. Thank you.
Hello, this is Richard Romero. Is my microphone working now?
Yes, Richard, we can hear you now very well. Thank you. Why don't you jump in next?
Sorry about that. Okay, yes, thanks for inviting us to the call. As Craig mentioned, we've had an amazing relationship with USXM and did a lot of great things in India with the prior authorization. A little bit about First Solar. So we're a US-based company headquartered in Arizona. We have manufacturing plants in Ohio, and we do all of our research and development in California, proof of concept at our Ohio plants. We have a differentiated solar PV technology that was fully developed in the US. We use a thin film semiconductor that is a small fraction of the semiconductor required by our Chinese-based competitors, and also does not require as much energy to produce a semiconductor. Our solar panels have a much faster payback period energy-wise. And what's also important is that we're able to recycle over 85% of the raw materials that go into our solar panel, including 90% of the glass and 90% of the semiconductor. We feel like we've developed a superior and differentiated American product, and more importantly, it's much more sustainable than our Chinese competition. Some things that it's important to note about US Nexus is that we've spent over $1 billion in research and development, and then annually we spend over $1 billion on our American supply chain. Additionally, we have 2,750 jobs directly related to the manufacturing of our panels, and another 7,000 indirectly across the country. Where we're seeing the biggest issue is we've been able to drive the cost down of our modules. So in the India days, the cost of the module was quite high as a proportion, and we were able to get a full financing solution for our customers. But right now, I'd say the module is maybe 1/3 of the total cost. So that leaves not sufficient financing based on the EXIM metrics for debt sizing to provide a full financing plan for our customers. But we feel like there's tremendous US Nexus supporting our module, even modules that get produced in our factories in Vietnam and Malaysia. And so for us, we feel like it is important to readdress the metrics and focus on something that's more based on US Nexus or US jobs, and not actually the content that goes into the projects. That would be tremendously helpful for us. We do see our competitors showing up with 100% financing solutions. So the Chinese, the Koreans, the Germans, the Canadians, all of them do offer 100% financing solutions. And then oftentimes they do include concessionary financing as part of their package, depending on the wealth status of the country. But we did look at using EXIM during this transition in projects, and we weren't able to get to full financing solutions. And the fact that we weren't able to staple on some concessionary financing not only impacted us negatively on the debt sizing, but also sort of on the overall economics. So I feel like those would be two areas of focus that would be helpful to, come up with a better product jointly stapled US for solar modules, and then US EXIM financing.
Okay, thank you, Richard. We appreciate hearing from you as always. Philippe, are you able to get your mic working here?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you very well, thank you. Why don't you go next?
I'm sorry, I tried twice and you guys couldn't hear me. So, well, thanks for the invite. My name is Philippe Delville. I work for Siemens Gamesa, based out of our Americas headquarters in Orlando. We're one of the leading wind turbine manufacturers globally, if not the leading one. We have 100 gigawatt installed, and between 25 and 30% of what we have installed in the world is here in the US. Our manufacturing footprint in the US, we have 2 manufacturing plants, one in Kansas, one in Iowa. We also do R&D. In fact, about 1/3 of what we're selling these days has been the turbines have been designed in Boulder, Colorado. We also in Boulder we do all the aerodynamic studies for the blade design, including offshore. We have about 2,300 people here employed in the US, and we just announced a new manufacturing plant in Virginia for the offshore wind turbines. So we're very committed to keep everyone busy here in the US in our plants. We've worked, as Craig indicated, we worked really well with EXIM. But since you guys reopened, we've struggled a little bit find the right opportunities and replicate some of the success from the past. And I'm going to repeat some of the things my colleagues here have said. I mean, the content issue is a real one in the sense that we're seeing other manufacturers using ECAs that are, I want to say, more lenient when it comes to their own national content, sometimes very lenient. And we're also seeing some countries are taking, very specific approaches to new markets. I mean, right now in the wind energy world, countries such as Colombia or Vietnam are really getting started, and we have seen other ECAs and specific countries taking that holistic approach to the country and allowing their manufacturers to be extremely competitive. In onshore wind, as some of you may know, the federal incentive for wind installs here in the US is fading out, which is okay. It did what it had to do, but we want to keep the people in Kansas and in Iowa busy, as maybe the volumes won't be as strong as they are right now in the US. And so looking forward to design some solutions with US EXIM.
We certainly appreciate that. As somebody who recently lived in South Dakota for 4 years, I hope the good state of South Dakota, which has great wind as well, can be part of the Kansas and Iowa trio over there. But thank you for coming. All right, I think we're about to round it out here with Steve Wilburn from Verdawatt. Steve, will you jump in next for us here? Steve, I can see your mic is on mute right now. Let's see if we can get it unmiked here, unmuted here.
I think we're there.
We are there now. Yes, hear you great. Thanks.
No problem. First of all, honored to be on such a distinguished panel. Sitting here listening, some of the benefits of going last is you get to hear the good content that's been offered by the qualified speakers before you. I just want to echo a few things, if I may. I echo that the US content needs to be reviewed, especially when we're dealing with solar. Verdawatt is an integrated company. We do solar. We do also gas-fired generation, hybrid microgrids, if you would. And we also make a mobile microgrid. And in today's environment, the mobile microgrid, we've retrofitted it to include up to a level 3 triage medical treatment facility. So it's timely and it's in demand around the world. Part of the problem is getting the finance to get our equipment around the world. EXIM has been responsive, and since they've reopened, I think there's been a good focus put on to the small business and medium-sized businesses, and I much appreciate that. But the content does need to be reviewed. I'd also like to comment on the local finance. When we look at the local funding at 30%, in some of the renewable projects that we're engaged with, that needs to be much higher, in the neighborhood of 40, I even say 45% would be something for the bank to consider, because the local construction costs are a big part of a microgrid. Yes, it's important to get the components from the US going through the US manufacturers, creating those valuable jobs, but it's also we have to install it. And when we get into the installation of those, local costs get to be a problem. I would also like to basically just say that one of the things that we're willing to take financial risk along with EXIM. We're not looking for EXIM to take all the risk. Our clients take risk, our insurers take risk, But we need to re-examine some of the rules at XM and some of the administrative speed, I would say, of which applications are processed. We all would like it to be quicker. I think that's a natural indication, but we understand you have a fiduciary responsibility. These are taxpayer dollars. But let me wrap up by saying that adapt, improvise, and overcome is very important. Marine, I'm a former United States Marine disabled veteran of the Vietnam War, was wounded in combat. So I know what challenges and risks there are. But what I would like to say is that we can adapt, we can overcome by improvisation. The bank needs to look at improvisation. Thank you for your time.
So that concludes the input from our business partners today. We're very appreciative of you all taking the time to come and speak with us and do so on the record. It's very helpful for us. And I'd like to encourage anyone else who's listening in today to please take the time to share your feedback with us. You can reach us at external@xm.gov. Our team stands ready to further these conversations. Just such a joy to have Dave Trulio on our team leading this program now, and really an opportunity for us to advance the great work we do alongside our U.S. businesses. I'll wrap today by inviting Chairman Reed to give any closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Luke, and thank you to all of our great participants on the call today. Renewable energy is a priority for XM in our charter, and now as we see also in our new program on China and transformational exports. We look forward to working with you and doing all we can to help you compete and win in the world. And again, we really appreciate your participation. And again, welcome to Dave Trulio, our new SVP for the program on China and transformational exports. With that, thank you very much.
And Chairman, this is Dave. Thank you again, and to all who spoke. To the extent that anyone would like to elaborate further on the comments that they shared, we welcome the next level of detail, and I think that'll be just to underscore what Luke said. There's the platform open to anybody, external@xm.gov, and then any additional thoughts folks would like to send our way. We are working expeditiously to stand up the program, but crucially, we can never lose sight of the fact that we're here to serve you, our U.S. exporters, and American jobs. So it's crucial that what we move out on is very relevant to your needs. So I'll leave it there, and with thanks to everyone again.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate those final comments. All right, this concludes today's call. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks.